I power walked down to that pile of gummy bears and back. I should probably set the pile out further, or closer, so I can get at them.
Oh, good old meat wad. Good old meetup. What up, pups? Happy Monday. How you guys doing? Doing good? I am doing all right. Welcome to another episode of the Power Up Podcast. It's a podcast that just looks at what's happening in the old pop culture field, that old wonderful entertainment area, and check out things that make us nostalgic, the good stuff, the bad stuff, sometimes the ugly stuff, and sometimes the spiritual stuff, because it all mixes together with the goal of just rekindling that dying spirit of nostalgia and joy and trying to just remind people, that there was a time when things were awesome, where woke and all that DEI garbage was not in there because it never existed. But unfortunately, it has infested in our current day of video gaming. But I'm not worried. I think we are starting to see people are tired of it. We're seeing pushback. And we're seeing companies, actually listening again to actual gamers and not activists. So that's always fun. That is always fun. So we got some articles here. In a weird way, I feel like I found articles that are rather uplifting, even though everyone's freaking out because of what the stock market or something, Japan shareholds and all that stuff. So that may not necessarily be good, I guess you could say. But that doesn't mean that we can just still enjoy video games and stuff like that. So some of the topics I have pulled up here involve, just games that were released today, as well as movies. Vince Vaughn, in an interview with I forget what they're called, but it's the people who eat the hot spicy sauce and all that stuff. And he talks a little bit about, Hollywood's problem. A lot of people don't want to say woke per se, but he's kind of hinting at that. Well, so we've got that. We've got apparently, I just found an article talking about how maybe a Hogwarts Legacy sequel is in development because Warner Brothers has a job listing that may suggest that. So we'll look into that. More Assassin's Creed Shadows with another Japanese historian talking about how Yasuke was simply a bodyguard and entertainer rather than a samurai. Always hilarious. And then I was about to say Boy Scouts, boycott. The Boy Scouts are already destroyed inside and out with a bunch of stuff. But the boycott, I guess, with Hoyoverse, pretty much Genshin Impact and all that stuff. That boycott where they said we're going to be doing it? Well, it failed, apparently. So we'll look into that. But if you're new and you enjoyed the show, first time hanging out, maybe consider hitting that subscribe button and punching that thumbs up and ringing that bell to get notified when I go live, whether it's a show like this, the Power Up Podcast, either with me solo or a guest, or it's my game streaming. We're currently playing Mario and Luigi Paper Jam. Really fun game. Really enjoying it so far. Right now we are live on YouTube, Rumble, Kick, and X, and on my locals as well. And if you want to go beyond just pushing the algorithm in terms of helping the channel grow, maybe consider checking out the locals, become a member, either on that or YouTube or Rumble. They have subscriptions there to just help the channel grow. I think it'll be fun, but I am blessed and humbled, regardless that you guys are taking the time to hang out with me on this wonderful Monday, beginning of the week. Alrighty, with that being said, let's why don't we just go right on ahead and hop on over. What do we want to start with? What do we want to start with? Let's check out this this Warner Brothers Games job listing. This comes from Bounding into Comics. Like I said, I guess a job listing might suggest that a Hogwarts Legacy sequel is starting to become in development. I still kind of want to play this game, but I mean, I don't know. It'll probably be a while. Isn't this on PC? Probably. Anyway, job listings by Avalanche Software have appeared online, leading to speculation about an upcoming sequel to Hogwarts Legacy. So while the job listings were not archived before vanishing, a screenshot of one of them persists via GameRant. Under Warner Brothers Discovery career page, a senior producer role at Avalanche Software boasts join the team behind the blockbuster open-world action RPG Hogwarts Legacy as we create what's next. That's actually true. That's a pretty much a bold forward statement there. Under the nice to have sections, one bullet point notes experience developing open world RPG games or action magical combat games a plus. Gaming Bible also reports there are job listings for associate software engineer and senior character technical artist. What the heck is Gaming Bible? Kind of like that. I might check out that site later. So an open world action RPG with magical combat would certainly describe Hogwarts Legacy and could describe a sequel or a prequel game. While not definitive, past reports lend credence. Back in February of 2023, Warner Brothers game president David Haddad told Variety, "We are very pleased with the initial launch to see a bright future for our other platform launches." Variety's Jennifer Moss specifically reported that Warner Brothers saw the game as a long-term franchise. That's cool. It was almost unaffected by a boycott over J.K. Rowling's comments against transgender ideology, despite claiming of anti-Semitism, LGBT outcry, harassments against streamers merely announcing their intent to play it, and even a website tracking who streamed the game being met with approval by a state legislator. It became a smash hit. Yeah, I remember that. What a bunch of bitches. Not only did it sell 256% above target in its first 2 weeks, it went on to sell 22 million copies in 2023 and became the best-selling game of 2023. In March last year, there were rumors of a legacy TV show was in the works at HBO Max. I didn't know about a Hogwarts Legacy show, but I'm more than positive they're pretty much retelling the entire story, except it's going to be more accurate to the book. So further evidence to a sequel came in March of this year during a conference call. Warner Brothers Discovery CEO and president of Global Streamings and Games, J.B. Perrette, discussed the future of live service games in the same breath as Hogwarts Legacy. So despite admitting Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League was a disappointment, everyone told you it was going to suck. JB championed Warner Brothers' 4 major gaming IP expanding into mobile, multi-platform, free-to-play, and live service. This includes DC Comics, Mortal Kombat, Game of Thrones, and Harry Potter. Rather than just launching a one-and-done console game, how to develop a game around, for example, Hogwarts Legacy, that is a live service where people can live and build and play in a world on an ongoing basis, he suggested. So this launched fans into a frenzy, starting a petition begging Warner Brothers to not make the then hypothetical Legacy 2 a live service game. The petition currently has over 7,500 signatures out of 10,000, and the success of the game, combined with the executives seeing Harry Potter as one of their major gaming IPs and a clear and vocal fan base show a sequel, is all but certain. The job listing would seem to cement that fact, or the start of a massive upset, if it was another project. Apparently, this guy says it was extremely woke. It did well because of the hype of J.K. Rowling hate. I don't think the next one will do as well. They can only hope that the ABC crowd can get upset again. Guess that's a given. Can never be woke enough to satisfy the woke. Just reading the comments here. You always enjoy reading them. Yeah, I did hear despite... Yeah, there was some woke stuff in there. Okay, this mentioned a screenshot. Did someone actually snag that green shot? Not now. I'm just skimming through this. Oh, wait. Is this just the main page, or did it actually link to... Oh, I thought this would link to what we just read. News. There's a Baldur's Gate 4 tease leaves fans absolutely heartbroken. Huh. Hogwarts Legacy gets enhanced new mode you can download now. I actually would like to play a Fallout New Vegas. Wait, Red Dead Redemption 3. Holy crap. I'll have to check out this website, but it's pretty cool. Baldur's Gate 3. What was this called? Baldur's Gate 4. Why is this like not showing anything? Well, in any case, we'll revisit that later. There you go. Next on the old list. We are once again visited by good old Assassin's Creed Shadows and that Yasuke. Oh, Yasuke just can't get out of it, can it? Just cannot leave. Sorry, checking something. Anyway, so Japanese historian Yuichi Goza speculates. What? Sorry, checking something. Quiet. Speculates that Yasuke was simply Oda Nobunaga's bodyguard and entertainer rather than a samurai as he's depicted in Assassin's Creed Shadows. So, Japanese historian Yuichi Goza speculates that Yasuke was not a samurai, as video game developer Ubisoft has claimed, but was rather just a bodyguard and entertainer. So, in an interview with Japanese website, the Sankei Shimbun, or Shimbun, why did I say Shimbun? Shimbun. I literally like flipped the B and made it a P. Whoops. With translations via DeepL, Goza was a facility member of the International Research Center of Japanese Studies, focusing on Japanese medieval history, and the author of What is a Samurai. Was asked, what kind of person was Yasuke, and was he a samurai or not? So Goza responded, there are very few historical records about Yasuke, so it is difficult to say. The history of Yasuke has not been the subject of much research, in part because the history of personalities is not the mainstream of historical studies. In the 15-volume Nobunaga Koki, in the collection of the Sankei Kaku Bunko, which is one of the biographies of Nobunaga Koki, a chronicle of Nobunaga's life, there is a description of Nobunaga giving Yasuke a sword and a house, indicating that he had treated him as a samurai. However, this is something that only appears in this biography among the dozens of manuscripts of the Nobunaga Chronicle, and we cannot deny the possibility that it was added later when the manuscript was transcribed. Goza continued. Also, even if he was a samurai, he may have been a formality. For example, in the Edo period, feudal lords who were fond of sumo had their own personal wrestlers. Formerly, they were treated as vassals or samurai and allowed to wear a sword, but even if a war broke out, it was not expected that the feudal lords were allowed their retainers to fight on the battlefield. When asked about the magnificent armor that Ubisoft depicts Yasuke wearing in Assassin's Creed Shadow and what position he actually held under Nobunaga, Goza responded, "The Japanese people around Nobunaga were very surprised by Yasuke's dark skin, seemed to be interested in it. In a sense, it was a show, and having a black man like Yasuke so close to him would attract attention and in a sense, show off Nobunaga's power." We've read this. Not this specific one, but we've read similar stuff that Yasuke was just simply shown. He was a sideshow. We've read reports about this on past streams. And this guy is literally repeating what is known and what is the truth about Yasuke. So in a sense, Nobunaga could show off his power. Therefore, I believe that the most important purpose was to show off to everyone. He relayed, "Yes, I agree." They even made him wash his skin because they thought he was dirty. Like this, these are the stuff that are actually historically written down. Ubisoft just does not want to admit it. In the Jesuit historical records, it is written that Yasuke was powerful and could do a few tricks. I believe that he was, in fact, Nobunaga's bodyguard and entertainer. He then declared he was not the samurai warrior that Westerners imagined him to be. One thing right there, we did not imagine Yasuke to be a samurai warrior. That would be these weirdos up in Canada. Well, it says Westerners, so I guess, never mind. You know what I'm getting at. But hopefully he's not thinking like, the U.S. Because it's like, hey, look, we're not the ones making this bullshit. Ubisoft is. Slaying one enemy after another. If he did fight, he did not command his men, but worked as a single combatant. Furthermore, Goza shared his thoughts on the backlash to Assassin's Creed Shadows that includes a petition. We've read the petition to cease production on the game. I don't really call for the cease of production on the game, but I do wish that Ubisoft would be forced to lose more money in recalling everything and fixing it accordingly. But I think there was like a recent thing where even with that issue with the flag, which was straight up copyright stuff, they're saying, screw you, we're not changing anything. So Goza said, "I understand that many people think that if you want to respect the samurai culture, the main character should be a Japanese samurai. Especially since the story is based on a real person, it would be more natural to have a famous swordsman samurai such as Miyamoto Musashi as the main character rather than a black man named Yasuke, whose actual character is not known." I think this, yes, Japanese samurai, absolutely. The main argument that everyone is talking about and why people are calling this garbage is because we know Ubisoft purposely picked a person who had very little information about him and could literally hide behind, well, he's a historical figure and stuff. Just another ammo, just another bullet to add to the ammo clip of, besides like, oh, you don't like him because he's black, because you're a racist and stuff. The same old script that they do all the time, that these woke assholes do all the time. The problem is that they never did this before throughout the Assassin's Creed series. And for those that try to argue, well, yeah, they did. Those characters were at least of the norm of the people during that time. Yasuke is a specific person, is a specific, unique person that had no information about him, and they were thrilled about this character because that means they could make up and insert whatever they wanted. Tons of people have said it. I've said it. It's been explained many a times. That's the real reason. I think when Japanese historians like this person here are kind of told this, I think they don't really understand the fact of, again, the woke culture infesting everything and going, look, like, these people aren't doing this because they care about Japan and they care about the accuracy of representation. Ubisoft's claim in that one post was like, we're hoping that this game respectfully showcases a historical recreation of a time of that period. No, they don't. They don't care about that. Because if they did care about historically representing stuff that might have existed during that time, it would be throughout the entire thing. But they chose not to. He continued, if Yasuke, who may or may not have been a samurai, is made to be a representative of the samurai, it would be like taking something away from the Japanese samurai culture. Thank you. Therefore, I think it's natural that some Japanese and foreign people would react with discomfort and dissatisfaction when they heard the word cultural theft being used in the film. Even if Yasuke were to appear in the game, it should have been in the form of a Japanese samurai as the main character, and Yasuke as well. Yes, that is the whole point. Thank you. Okay. All we had to do was just read a little bit more, but it sounds like he did understand that. He made it sound like it was going, like he was going to say something like, I don't see what the big deal. And it's just like, oh my gosh. Like, it's just like, yeah, we understand that maybe that obviously you're focused on other stuff, but like they're doing this all over the world because they hate you. The people that say, you know, it's like with Mercante, who like was like, something was happening with Alyssa Mercante too. She was like bragging about how she made donations for like some trans thing, and then it turns out the trans charity or something is like fraud or something like that. I didn't really look into it just because anything involving her, you know, it's something retarded. But my point was with, you know, Alyssa Mercante on that Frost 2.0 rant she did. She's like, when she was like, you'll learn that the world is diverse. And it's like, well, yeah, the world is diverse. What you're doing is a forced diversity, which ultimately is just a projection of your own hatred in the disguise of it's expressing your, let me take that back. It's expressing your own hatred and you're projecting it onto other people in the disguise of diversity and equality and all that stuff. That's what this forced diversity is. They're doing forced diversity because they hate the people that they claim they care about. They really do. They hate it. Along with like the people who don't go with their ideology. They're just miserable people. So Gozo was then asked about various forms of media aside from the video games, including movies, TV shows, novels adopting stories that are contrary to historical facts, and what his thoughts are on this. He responded, I think it's a matter of degree. For example, there is a rare theory that Minamoto no Shoisune did not die in Hiraizumi and went to the continent and became Genghis Khan. This theory was mainly popular before the war, but it was denied by historians at the time as impossible. If a game in which Yoshitsune became Genghis Khan and fought in the game were to be sent out to the world, I think it would still be problematic, even if it were labeled this is fiction, Goza explained. Especially Mongolians would be angry because Genghis Khan is the greatest hero of Mongolia. Of course, I don't think that all creative works based on history can be based on historical facts. What's up, Scotty? But especially when they are put out to the world, I think there should be consideration for the fact that it could be a diplomatic issue if the game is put out in a way that hurts the pride of the people in other countries, he asserted. I get what he's saying at, but again, Ubisoft originally promoted this as a means of being historically accurate, and then backtracked and moved the goalpost into saying, well, Assassin's Creed was never really historically representing everything, but it's based on historical facts. That's the problem. Him talking about like being problematic, if like, for example, the Genghis Khan theory that he brought up, I get what he's saying. I don't think it would be that big of a deal if that was the case. Especially if the game is just like, oh, there's this cool conspiracy theory about this. Let's just run with it and see what happens. And this isn't real, Now, him talking about getting, pretty much the government involved. I mean, we love seeing the woke people getting beaten down. But, yeah, the government shouldn't really be involved. But again, it's funny when the government is involved and it's against the woke people, because the woke people, are on their knees pleasuring government until they come against them, Then it's like, ugh. It's like, just be against big government throughout your life, and then you'll realize that that's way better, in my opinion. Gave it a like. Quite a warm day today. It was. I think it was like 99 for me down here in Texas. I'm actually going to be going back home on Thursday for a little bit. Won't be back till Monday night. So there will be no Friday show and no game streaming show during that time. He continued, an Englishman modeled after William Adams, Anji Miura, washed ashore in Japan and teaches the protagonist how to move a ship and use a cannon and so on. This alone would suggest that a white man with an advanced civilization is teaching things to a stupid colored person, but this is not the case. The Englishman is at first confused and repulsed, but gradually becomes impressed by the proud way of life of the Japanese samurai, and the process of understanding and respecting them is depicted. It is not a one-way relationship, but a story of mutual understanding. There is a respect for other cultures at the root. I think this is an important aspect of fiction based on history. If you depict the history and culture of a foreign country, I think if you had a proper understanding of those basic aspects and paid respect to them, problems like this would not have occurred. Yes, but this is the point. The point is that Ubisoft claims that they paid respect, but they didn't. They purposely went out of their way to find anyone who agreed with their ideology. And if they faced any feedback and any pushback and their bullshit getting called out, they would just be like, well, no, we did this. We talked to this person and stuff. Like, we've seen this. I guarantee you they did not grab a team of people of different ideology to sit down and go, okay, let's see what we can do with Yasuke. Guarantee you they didn't do that. They did not do that at all. They only based it on Lockley's book, and then had that one Japanese American weirdo who I think is half Japanese, but she was born and raised in California, but her parents are Japanese, or one of them is, or something like that. This is what they do. They do not want to put in the research and respect. They want to rewrite history. It appears clear that Goza did not believe that Ubisoft in their game Assassin's Creed Shadow has been respectful of Japanese history and culture. True. I do agree in the end. And it's not hard to figure out why, given Ubisoft was attempting to market the game as historical. Thank you. In an interview with Xbox Wire, in an interview with Xbox Wire, game director Charles, okay, we've read this many, many times. Yeah, this douchebag claimed that Assassin's Creed is well known for its depiction of the history and accurate recreation of the world, and it's what players can expect. Yeah, we've read this already. Also, we're giving the opportunity of the players to live not just one, but two best fantasies of Japan, the samurai and shinobi. Yeah, a very vague person who may or may not have been a samurai, and then some made-up girl, some made-up daughter, in the sense of like the history of the daughter. I believe her father is an actual historical figure, but her herself like had next to no information about her. Anyway, and we've read this too. We were first looking for our samurai, someone who could be our non-Japanese eyes, though. This is because that stupid quote, our samurai. See, that just explains it right there. Our samurai, not a authentic and accurate representation of what a samurai could have been in the Sengoku period, but our samurai. See, our samurai, non-Japanese eyes. Blah 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 blah. We thought that starting with a samurai already in Japanese society would make a very interesting and intriguing character who has also concepts that we don't necessarily know about. Translation. We got really lucky that there was a black dude during the Japanese time of this era, and little is known about him, so we can make up whatever we want. That's pretty much the translation. That's the between the lines of what this guy is saying, and everybody who supports it. What do you make of Goza's comments regarding Yasuke and Assassin's Creed Shadow? Good. We need more people like this man to stand up and to point out the fact that, again, the very historical records that they do have is nothing like what Assassin's Creed Shadows and Ubisoft is depicting. And it always seems to be that the people who try to be like, no, that's what it was. You have Thomas Lockley, who made up half the crap, like 240 pages of bullshit with very little historical information sprinkled through. The one historian who was later found out to be a communist. You got that. And then the actual historical records that we've read and other people have pointed out that went to the historical record place and has shared what has been talked about is nothing like what Ubisoft is claiming. So why this is still a talking point is beyond me. They clearly bastardize Assassin's Creed Shadows because they wanted to push an agenda. That's it. So they failed, and another thing that failed is apparently the Hoyoverse boycott. Zenless Zone Zero earns nearly $100 million. The ongoing boycott against Hoyoverse, the developer behind Genshin Impact, Honkai, Star Rail, and Zenless Zone Zero, has failed spectacularly as Zenless Zone Zero raked nearly $100 million in July alone right after launch. The boycott organizers, through a change.org petition, accused Yohoverse, or Hoyoverse, Yohoverse, it's a pirate game, of culture appropriation and whitewashing. The petition, which currently has over 104,000 signatures, accused their game of culture appropriation and whitewashing, while also demanding the developer commit to accurate representation of all cultures. The petition also focused on the MiHoYo games that have repeatedly taken inspiration from indigenous cultures without proper representation and respect. The people who are saying this crap are, I've said it before, I'll say it again, the people who always say this crap are the real racists and the bigots. Every time. Every time. Because that's how they view the world, is through that lens. Is through the lens of which sex is involved, which race is involved, blah, 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 and it needs to be fixed, and we're just the people to do it because we're so good and that we so care about, the proper representation. All lies. Don't fall for it. So in particular, the main characters from Sumeru and Natlin in Genshin Impact, and from Penacony on Honkai, Star Rail are all clearly white or only lightly tanned at best, with the exception of some enemy NPCs, the latter of which has sparked concerns of, quote, racism among players in indigenous communities. Petition further declares cultural appropriation and whitewashing perpetuate harmful stereotypes and diminish the rich cultural heritage of indigenous communities. Well, I can say the same thing of when you guys blackwash all the gingers in Hollywood. and you're perpetuating harmful stereotypes that gingers apparently can't act or don't have souls and all this stuff too. So I guess the feeling's mutual. You figs. This practice is not only misrepresent cultures, but also contribute to ongoing marginalization and disrespect. I agree. Gingers are the most marginalized and disrespected communities out there. Absolutely. 100%. I agree with this people. It then lists demands. So they demand to engage with indigenous cultural consultants. Pretty much a Sweep AB Inc. Nope. Commit to creative, diverse, and inclusive characters. It's already in the game. You're just not satisfied enough. So, nope. In addition to this petition, an X account called the boycott, called HYV, might as well just be HIV because that's what this boycott's like, trying to infest the game with. Whoop. Also declares, I think it's safe to say that we have all had enough of the erasure of our cultural identities. Today, I introduce you all to boycott Hoyoverse. We will be in account sharing. We will be in account sharing how you can boycott. Spread the word. Anything helps. Projection. Minorities deserve to be seen, not erased. Then make your own damn game. Don't stop demanding that everything get changed to include this shit. Make it. Oh yeah, you did. You did it with Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League. Oh, it failed. Well, the account adds, there has been a distinct lack of darker skin tone representation in the game. Characters from these cultures are actively being heavily referenced, but are being whitewashed. This is especially noticeable and ever present in not only Sumeru and Natlan, but also in other nations. Oh my gosh, I can't talk. I'm too busy being flabbergasted from this account's racism. Really, that's the first thing you look at? So what skin color the people are in there? Methinks that's racism in its purest form. These practices not only misrepresent said cultures, but also contribute to ongoing marginalization and disrespect that is perpetuating colorism, buzzword, further in the media, causing even more harm than good to communities and groups of individuals who are a part of them. And then we kind of read about this before. Several voice actors have also voiced their support for boycott. My response would be they're expendable, fire them, and just replace them. Remember reading hers. Here's some other one. Yoruba religion, and that the characters end up looking like pale Sasuke Batman. People are absolutely within their rights to demand better representation, especially when said game has clearly stated commitment to a global audience. Oh my gosh. Grasping at straws there. For a global audience, therefore you need... Oh my gosh. Boycotting these actors' complaints seem to have had little to no impact on the Hoyo versus revenue. According to Gacha Revenues, Endless Zone Zero generated $68.8 million from Chinese players and another $31 million from its global player base in July, totaling $99.8 million. Ah, love it. And then this one earned $21 million. That would be Honkai Star Rail. $21 million for global-based players and $19.3 million from China. Total of $40.3 million. This is a decrease from June when the game earned $35 million globally and $60.5 million in China, totaling $95.5 million. As for Genshin Impact, $19.3 million in China, another $18 million globally, $37.3 million total. This is also a decrease from June when it grossed $38.5 million China and $29 million globally, totaling $67.5 million. So while Star Rail and Genshin Impact saw a drop, Zenless Zone Zero offset this decline. Combined, Honkai Star and Genshin Impact saw the revenues fall by 85.4 million. However, as mentioned earlier, Zone Zero pulled in nearly $100 million in its first month. Overall, it grossed Hoyoverse grossed 163 million in June, and then in July, between Zenless Zone Zero, Genshin Impact, and Star Rail, it grossed 177.4 million, thus making it an 8.8 increase in revenue from month to month. Good job on that boycott. And then apparently that was an increase from May. And then there's a bunch of figures there, so I'm not going to read that. And what do you make of Hoyo versus monthly revenues continuing to increase by significant percentages despite some players claiming to boycott? Hilarious and pathetic. You ever notice how when woke people like ask for a boycott, like back in the day, they clearly had power and the CEO people just like, you know, caved to them. But now that things are being turned around, now like woke boycotts are just failing miserably because people finally see through their bullshit. And it's just absolutely hilarious. So this failed, you know. And even The Last of Us Part 2, like I call that the golden calf in the video game industry, because that's like, and that was one of the things that got brought up this like today on X. Someone brought up, it's like, well, let's be real here, you know, Last of Us Part 2 is a masterpiece. Last of Us Part 2 is by no means a fucking masterpiece. The series alone is not a masterpiece. I was thinking about this today because I saw it. And you know, people were like, "Oh my gosh, it was such a good, riveting story talking about revenge and stuff like that." And I'm just like, dude, Ghost of Tsushima, Lady Mazuko, I think is what her name is. Like that side quest in Ghost of Tsushima, that was also about revenge. That entire side quest was better than the entire story from Last of Us Part 2. Last of Us Part 2 was purposely put on a pedestal and backed up in order to be that one thing that they can point to and be like, see, it worked. And it's like bullshit. Like, I guarantee you all the awards they won was like, you know, it was rigged in some way, shape, or form. I have no receipts. I just have a gut feeling. That's my gut feeling. I guarantee you that, you know, it was biased. It was biased to begin with just because it was a woke PSA announcement, that entire game. It sucks. Last of Us Part 2, or Last of Us series in general, I'd say it's a good series. 1 is good, 2 is trash. The same people who shit on Metal Gear Solid of it being overrated and stuff, whatever they say, look, because I've seen people talk about it, I'll just take whatever they say and slap it on Last of Us the Last of Us series. It's garbage. Part 2. Part 1 was fine. But there you go. Those were kind of the negative stuff. Negative in the sense that it's hilarious. But, you know, kind of a bummer. But I'm really liking. I watched that show where, you know, famous people or whoever eats with that one guy, you know, hot sauce, like the spiciest hot sauces and stuff like that. I watched this one with Vince Vaughn and I really enjoyed it. And he did point out the problem that Hollywood has. So Vince Vaughn is coming back to our screens in Bad Monkey, a new comedy series at Apple TV+. This is from Yahoo Entertainment. In an interview to promote the show with Sean Evans over the popular YouTube channel First We Feast on his series Hot Ones, Vaughn brought his own heart when discussing the current state of Hollywood. Audience have noticed and lamented the lack of creativity available at the box office with the endless sequels, prequels, and reboots currently pouring out of Hollywood. Yes, because they're unoriginal, they can't think of anything, and woke goes broke. That's why they keep thinking that if we just copy and paste, you know, Control C, Han Solo, Control V, backspace, delete, make woman, K Voss, boom, boom, boom. There we go. It should sell, right? It doesn't work like that. Scotty says it's cool to see Vince Vaughn return with truth. I always liked Vince Vaughn. I'd love to interview Vince Vaughn. He'd be awesome to talk to. I really liked that interview with him. So, okay, I just read that one. Evans got into the matter asking Vaughn, there's been endless ink split about Hollywood no longer making the kind of R-rated, wide-release theatrical comedies that were such a tower of strength in your career. How have you seen Hollywood's interest in making those kind of films change over the course of your career? And what do you think are the forces at play? And then Vaughn candidly discussed the issue without playing coy, saying, there became some idea or concept, he began. They would say something like, you have an IP, so for some reason Battleship, which is a game we used to play like a graph, became a vehicle for storytelling. To most, this isn't news. If you've recently been pondering what to see at your local multiplex, you've likely faced the struggle of wading through the timetable to find little option beyond a rendition of something you've seen years prior. I like him too, but it's a shame he hasn't been in too much. But it'd be cool to see him and Adam Sandler team up for something. That'd be pretty cool. Adam Sandler, I mean, at this point, he's just making movies for his friends because a lot of them don't do well. But I liked Adam Sandler's 90 movies. Happy Gilmore, Billy Madison, all that stupid stuff. It's too good. Digging into the issue, Vaughn brought up John Hughes, the writer and director behind 16 Candles and Ferris Bueller's Day Off, saying, an IP was a girl turning 16, or I'm going to cut school. Life situations. Vaughn brought the conversation back to his work, citing the 2003 Todd Phillips film Old School, which explores the concept of what if I got to go back and be in a fraternity now at this stage of the game. His argument makes the point that there was a time when life and the things it throws at people were its own compelling IP, whereas studios and the decision makers now play from a different rule book. Yeah, it's called the woke rule book. The people in charge don't want to get fired more, so then they're looking to do something great, Vaughn said. So they want to follow a set of rules that somehow get set in stone that doesn't really translate, but as long as they follow them, they're not going to lose their job. Yes, thank you. Oh my gosh, Vince Vaughn, you are amazing. It's the first time someone has spoken openly about the intricacies. I don't know why I said intricates. The intricacies occurring behind closed doors that we wouldn't otherwise hear about without stepping into a pitching room. He's the chill dude to work with. His performance in Uncut Gems is nuts. Yeah, I mean, I really liked him. I hate to say it. I really like him in Dodgeball. I think he's a good dude. He articulates that simply playing by the rules is enough for the people in charge to remain in their jobs because they have covered their backs, saying they can say, well, look, I made a movie off the board game Payday. The movie didn't work, but you can't let me go. While much of this year's heavy hitters at the box office have been IP-based stories such as Deadpool and Wolverine and Inside Out 2, which at least started at the original concept, it is worth noting the recent success of independent productions like Talk to Me and Longlegs, which have made history in their own right at smaller studios. Almost like when you take an established franchise and then feel the need that you have to change it in order to accommodate to a specific group of individuals because of this false perception of there needs to be more inclusivity, diversity, and equality and all that stuff. Almost like that doesn't sell. Audience are interested in different, and Vaughn acknowledged that in his response to Evans. Oops, I skipped this. Talk to Me became A24's highest grossing horror film domestically. All right, it's just naming these two things. So he acknowledged that in his response to Evans. He closed his thoughts by offering hope, saying, people want to laugh. People want to look at stuff that feels a little bit like it's dangerous or pushing the envelope. And I think you're going to see more of it in the film space sooner than later would be my guess. What he says right here is true because it worked in the past. And this is the thing that these people absolutely hate and why they are trying to change the already established franchises. It's because they think that they can just weasel in bullshit and it'll just be successful because it's already established. They like the series, so they'll definitely like this. That's not how it works at all. It's because of what he said right here. It's dangerous. It pushes the envelope. Some people are going to be pissed off, and that's okay because it was fine in the past. Now, these people want to say, no, it wasn't fine in the past. Because in the past, and then they'll point to a very small fringe minority group. They weren't properly represented. They blah, 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 blah. They have the opportunities now. I'll admit that's in the past. Of course, there were some people who didn't have the same opportunities that they would. Nowadays, that's not the case anymore. Exactly not the case. So this fear that they're projecting out there is all from them. And usually, I'd say 8 out of 10 times, because a broken clock is, right at least twice a day, they're the ones that have caused this fear, or who've created the boogeyman, or were the people that were actually the douchebags all along. It's usually always these people. Except for clout purposes, they have to then project it onto others and lie and rewrite history to say, no, we're actually the good guys. Always seems to be a switch. North and south. Oh, the big switch. European, ideology. Oh, over the right is really the left, and the left is really right, across the world. Every time. Every time, always conveniently, that people with their ideology and their stuff, they were always trying to do the right thing. You're wrong says, good writing doesn't follow rules of culture, society, or other people's visions. Hollywood has lost that with activism and brain hoarding. Yep. These are the same people that erase women's sports and stop short people from Disney opportunities. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And they will never, ever answer the question I've always been asking is, how does being racist and bigoted and XYZ combat racism and bigotry? Because that's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. The answer, of course, is that it doesn't. And the answer, of course, is when you get past that fear of there's just going to be assholes out there in the world. People always want to point out to the KKK and stuff. When's the last time you've heard of a big KKK sort of thing? Because these people make it seem like there's these huge giant hordes that are marching down the streets every day. Using just, the Klan as an example. Dude, a lot of the people of the Klan left. Oh my gosh. And then, of course, the Klan was also, started by liberals. They don't want to tell you that. But this boogeyman they keep saying of, it's just for power control. It's just power and control and for clout. 100%. Well, article-wise, that's all I have for you guys today. But it's nice to end on good news. Vince Vaughn, if you're out there, reach out. Reach out to me. Or hopefully I can find your agent or whoever. Because I'd love to do an interview with you. Because I think you're awesome. But over on Game Facts, this day in gaming, here's some games that were released today. Rocket Knight Adventures, really, really good game. Really good game. I actually need to play Sparkster on Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo because they're two different games. Really good game. We have Super Mario World 2, Yoshi's Island. I've actually never played Yoshi's Island. I'm not really sure if I want to. But we have that. Oh, Shenmue. Shenmue apparently was released today. I think someone asked me if I would play Shenmue. And I was like, maybe. Maybe someday. I feel like I have a lot of RPGs that I need to go through. Silent Hill 3 was released today. That's dope. Let's see. Anything else? Not really. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2014 was released on the 3DS. I don't know if that game's any good. But you have some bangers here. Definitely would recommend Rocket Knight Adventures for sure to anybody out there. Rocket Knight Adventures is an amazing game. Awesome game. Really fun game. And then, over on the movie side of stuff, Little Rascals was released in 1994 on August 5th. Oh, apparently Suicide Squads was, but we can just ignore that one. Rise of the Planet of the Apes. Man, this really didn't go back super far. It's actually, some reason it's kind of hard to find, See, I like Game Facts, and I think even on Moby Gaming, like they had games that were released today. Some reason I'm having a hard time finding ones for movies or even anime. I remember the Little Rascals. I learned to move my ears through that movie. Nice. Let's see. They Them sounds like a woke movie. Prey. Bigfoot family. What? Luck. Did anyone ever remember these? Oh, here you go. Halloween, H2O, 20 years later. The remake of the Dukes of Hazzards. I think I remember actually watching that with Johnny Knoxville in there. Easter Sunday. No idea what that one is. The Change Up. That sounds familiar. Isn't that in the beginning when like there's a really disgusting like piss and poop scene on them? Risky Business. To Catch a Thief. Oh, here we go. Why is this not in order? Because this was released in 1955. And then I Love My Dad. The Dukes of Hazzards, what a movie. Can't quite move them like Elf, though. Dude had magic with those things. The stunts they made those kids do for that show were insanely dangerous. LOL, The Dukes of Hazzard. Well, yeah, because I think because they had Johnny Knoxville in there, and of course he's known for Jackass, so of course you want him to to do that. This is a weird site, Famous Birthdays, but it's like the only one I can find that like actually has release dates of specific movies. I'll have to like figure out like how to get this list from this site. But there you go. I'm trying to find ones that have like anime is like really hard just because it's like, you know, a lot of times you have anime as a series. So, you know, it's going to be like in a month. It's like a month, you know, sort of thing. It's not just a specific date. But like anime movies, like Miyazaki films or Dragon Ball Z films or stuff, you can kind of find, but I think they're all kind of like released around the same time. But there you go. I guess I could also look into like anime series that were released this month or something. But there you go. There's some good news for you. So we had some uplifting stuff, even though apparently the stock market, something about that's happening. Some people saying it's going to affect the gaming industry. Sure, I guess. You got the, you know, SAG after strike, but fuck them. And then that's it. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the show. Make sure to smash that subscribe and like button if you're new and haven't already. Ring that bell to turn on notifications to get notified when I go live. Like I said, this Thursday up until Monday, I will be back home, so I doubt I'll be able to do any sort of streaming. But we will try to do a, you know, game streaming tomorrow, Power Up podcast for Wednesday. And then won't be back till probably, you know, back at it Tuesday. But thanks to everyone who hung out. Thanks, Scotty. Take care, dude. You too as well. And yeah, you guys have a good rest of your night. Take care and God bless. And I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Till then, peace.